Welcome to the Bullring presented by Turn One High Performance Steering. I'm Jim Tretow. On this program, we'll learn more about the Kulwicki Driver Development Program. It's winding down. We'll see who's going to win the Kulwicki Cup come December. We have the president of the board of directors, Ryan Zeck, joining us from the KDDP program. We also have Ted Musgrave on the program. He was the Grand Marshal at Winchester for the Winchester 400. He knows a thing or two about winning short track races before he became a NASCAR champion. He won the Winchester 400 and the Snowball Derby, both in the same fall in 1988. Teddy was the recent Grand Marshal at Winchester, so I'm glad I got his number and got him lined up on tonight's Bullring to talk to us about what he's doing nowadays and how hard it was back then to go racing as much as he did to then become a full-time driver in the NASCAR Cup Series as early as 1990 before he won the 2005 Truck Series Championship. Lots to talk about there as well. We begin the program with a Tennessee teenager racing at his home track this weekend, racing for the guitar in the All-American 400. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series full-timer and Appalachian Sucker Punch ASA Stars National Tour full-time driver Dawson Sutton joins us here on the program. Let's go. We're heading home to Nashville. Dawson, how you doing tonight?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited for you because I know how important it is to race well. Not only did you win the weekly championship there in a pro late model just 1 year ago, but Nashville is certainly going to be special for you, knowing that there's so many things that have changed just in the last 12 months for you, racing in both series full time, but also moving shops to Charlotte and balancing all that life stuff. What's it been like?
Yeah, for sure. It's super cool to go home to Nashville, and definitely my favorite racetrack. Every time I get to race there, it's super awesome to be so close to home and only have that 20-minute drive to the racetrack. And it feels like I'm just super thankful to race so close to home and have that racetrack so close to me. It's super cool to race there. I used to race there on a weekly basis, but I'm very thankful for every time I get to go there now, and to go there for the All-American 400. It's such a big deal, and I feel like we were so close to winning that one last year, but hopefully we can have a better year this year.
You've had some speed in your super late model. How much do you credit that to the time and commitment that maybe the resources allow you with Chevrolet, with the Rackley Well Roofing NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series team you race with full time? Does that help you equate? Does it help you get more mindset of, I'm going for 300 laps, not a big deal because I just ran 250 at Kansas, whatever it may be?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like my guys have been working so hard in the shop and putting so much time and effort into the car. And I'm just lucky to drive them. And also, racing the truck series full time, it helps me a lot. On the weekends that I get to go race the late model and have fun. And that's what I really love is racing the late model on the weekends and racing the truck full time. And I'm just super thankful for my sponsors and my everybody that allows me to do that. And like you said, I feel like we've had such good speed here recently in the super late model, and I feel like we keep going, all these new racetracks, and we keep having good runs and just keep getting better and better, and that's all I can ask for.
And you're racing the Southern Super Series on occasion when your schedule allows. You just won the most recent Blizzard Series race at Pensacola's Five Flag Speedway, so that's the big tune-up for the Snowball Derby. There's a lot that goes into that. It's not a points race technically for you, or is it something that you're maybe going to be shot at the points come November 15th for the last race in the Southern Super Series and the Governor's Cup in Florida?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be participating in that, but I'll definitely be down there watching and learning, and I plan on going down there just for a little, vacation to watch. And luckily, we have two other cars racing out in California at Kern County that weekend, Kevin and Keelan. So looking forward to watching them race, and they keep getting better and better. And it's super cool to have them behind my back as well. And they're so experienced. Kevin, he's done all this before in, the Cup Series. So it's super cool to have him as a mentor to ask questions from. And I feel like I can also, teach him a few things in super late models. So it's super cool to have all those guys with me. And like I said, hopefully we can go down there in a few weeks and watch that race and learn and just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, that'd be Kevin Harvick and his son Keelan, who are part of the Rackley War Racing Development Program. That's a big move you guys made just, 12, 14 months ago, deciding to move the shops from Tennessee, near the racetrack, all the way to North Carolina, to then align with some really good people. You've had some really excellent drivers and teammates come through there, but the Harvicks and their own little racing across America, sponsored by Hunt Brothers Pizza, that's got to be kind of fun to follow that, but also you can learn from that as well, because Kevin's not done a lot of super late model racing, and Keelan just made his first super late model start. So how ingrained are you in what they're doing, not just what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, they're super cool to have his teammates. Kevin and Keelan, they're awesome people, and they're great race car drivers as well. And like I said, they're super cool to lean on. Both of them. They're so good at their at racing in general, and they're such good people. Like I said, and I feel like I can learn so much from them. Asking questions and Keelan's such a good kid as well. So it's super cool to watch them every weekend get better and better. And I feel like you said, I can teach Kevin and Keelan a few things in the super late model just because I feel like I've been doing that for a while now and keep getting better and better. And it's super cool to have all those guys and resources in North Carolina. And it's just awesome.
You've got a chance to now race back at your home super speedway, Nashville Super Speedway, where you made a planned start in the NASCAR Cross from Truck Series 2 years ago. This year, of course, running full time, you got a chance to race there again. What has it been like? What's been the change? What's changed in the chapter of Dawson Sutton? I want to do this to Dawson Sutton. I'm a full timer in NASCAR. And, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going back to the fairgrounds. I don't get to see it every week anymore. I'm going back. And what's been the reaction like for you and for your fans and your friends that have been so much part of this along the way?
Yeah, for sure. It's super cool to have, those racetracks so close to me and to have, family and friends out at the racetrack by itself. It's super cool. And, I've only been racing for 4 years now. So it's super cool to just, keep learning, like I said, and to have those racetracks so close to me. And, unfortunately, I was a rookie of the year at the Nashville Fairgrounds. So it's super cool to go to the bigger track, Nashville Super Speedway. And we had a good run there this summer in the truck. And I feel like we keep getting better and better in that series as well. But it's super cool to just, have all those racetracks close to me. And it's super cool to have, such a close drive and just go make laps and learn.
With the rigmarole, or I'll call it the routine, you're now just ending with the NASCAR Cross Country Truck Series ending in Phoenix. That season, I think, went by pretty quick. What's it been like for the balance for you, knowing that you're racing full time in the Appalachian Sacrifice ASA Stars, you're racing Southern Super Series races, you're trying to get to other racetracks to watch your team develop with some really good drivers and equipment. What was that like this year so far, knowing there's a few more races ahead?
Yeah, it went by crazy quick. It feels like, the start of the season was yesterday almost. Going to Daytona and New Smyrna there. And it feels like it just flew by. Even the late ASA Stars it feels like I've raced every weekend almost in that series. I have so much fun and we've had such good runs. And I feel like when you're having fun, everything just flies by. So it's super cool to, finish out my rookie year in the truck series strong. Well, I wouldn't say strong, but we crashed on the first lap at Phoenix. But I feel like other than that, I feel like it was a really good rookie year, and I feel like I learned a lot. And hopefully we can come back next year and keep having these good runs and just learn. And that's what matters at the end of the day. Learning and having fun. That's why I love racing, and I'm super fortunate to do it.
Speed was there this year in the truck as well. I saw a couple of your better finishes. Talladega 4th, Kansas Speedway 9th. Those are places you really haul in the mail. How do you equate to that speed being a short tracker? Still, just 1 year into the truck series.
Yeah. Honestly, the trucks definitely feel a little bit slower than the supers. Honestly, even at the bigger tracks, I think most people will tell you that. Even the late model guys that have raced, I feel like they'll all tell you that. I feel like the trucks are just slower overall, a lot less horsepower, and I feel like it's a lot of just aero wise. Especially once you go to the mile and a half, like Kansas and even Talladega. But it's definitely everything just feels slowed down. The supers are a lot more just up on the wheel, and I feel like you got to get after it every lap. The trucks are really aggressive and super competitive fields, but they definitely have two different types of racing at the end of the day, and I feel like you've seen so many people come up through the super late model ranks into the trucks and have such great success, and hopefully I can be one of them in the near future. And I feel like you said, I feel like we keep getting better and better every week, and I'm really fortunate for that.
You've also been surrounded by some really good people. Your dad is certainly knowing to put you in place, put you in the right spots. It includes Willie Allen, who raced at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, who was the 2007 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Rookie of the Year. He has a lot of experience, but he also has a dedicated plan with Dawson Sutton and racing everywhere you race. He gets to go along as much as he can with everything else going on, overseeing the move and the operation of Rackley War Racing. I was too late for the broadcast at Winchester, but he was in Las Vegas at the Bullring Saturday night and made it back to Winchester on Sunday. Crazy stuff going on. How much is he involved with what you're going on? How much does that benefit what you got going on here, Dawson?
Yeah, it's awesome to have both of them. Willie's the reason I got started in racing 4 years ago. So it's super cool to have him as a mentor, and he's done all this super late model stuff before, and he was in a truck, and it's super cool to lean on him, each and every weekend as well. So it's super cool to have him and my dad. My dad is he's a great businessman, and also he's gotten to racing and he loves it so much. So it's super cool to just watch both of them love it so much, and I feel like they just they love coming to the racetrack, and that's what matters. And like you said, Willie, going from Vegas to Winchester overnight flight is unreal. Honestly, whenever I saw them there, I was like, oh my goodness. But it's super cool to have them both at the racetrack each and every weekend.
Who has been dedicated? Let's do some bragging on your super late model team. Are they coming from the truck garage? Are they dedicated to your team? How many guys are involved with just your super late program, or perhaps it's a pool of guys that goes wherever the teams go?
Yeah, it's a pool. It's a little bit of both. We have a lot of cars running right now, and the shop's pretty full. So we'll have different guys come each weekend for the most part. A lot of my truck guys will come on the weekends. We run 4 cars. So like this weekend in Nashville, I'll have a lot of my truck guys there helping, and I'm super fortunate that they love coming to the late model races as well. And I'll have my main late model guys that work on my car as well in the shop, and they definitely have their both different sides in their race shop, but they'll both come to the racetrack when they need to, and it's super cool to see that.
All right, so this Thursday night, we're going to have a big old party at Kid Rock's place downtown on Broadway in Nashville. Friday, things get to business when we're deciding weekly championships at the quarter mile and the 5/8 on Friday night. We can see that at Racing America. Saturday caps off with the Pro Late Model 100 lapper. The weekly racing ends there, along with some JEG CRA drivers, all-stars. So I'm thinking it's a big weekend before we even get to Sunday in the All-American 400. How much are you going to take in, and how much will you spend time maybe watching the kid that's been bugging you like crazy when he finally got his first super stock or street stock racing on the quarter mile, and he wants to know everything that Dawson Sutton knows when you get there this weekend?
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to go back home, back to Nashville. I love, every time I get to go there. Luckily, I'm flying. I'm flying down Wednesday morning, so I'm going to spend some time there this week and go to Rackley Roofing, and I'm going to sign some autographs and stuff Thursday, and then I'm definitely looking forward to going to the racetrack bright and early Friday morning, and getting some practice in, and also just watching the races on the short track. I love watching all those races. In my opinion, that's probably the most entertaining races there are. Just watching the guys, beat and bang. And I remember racing there 3 years ago, so it's super cool to watch, all those legend car races and street stock races. So I'll definitely be entertained or watching that, and then Saturday watching the Pro Late Model race as well. And I'm super excited to watch my teammates race in that, and I'm looking forward to this weekend.
And Sunday's All-American 400. This is a golden opportunity for Dawson Sutton to win yet another big one. He won the Glass City 200 this year in the Appalachian Sucker Punch ASA Stars National Tour in September. Dominated that race with a car that turned like nobody's business. I'm guessing you have a few more insights at Nashville. I would think that you're pretty excited and pretty confident what you have going this weekend for the Sunday big race, right?
Very excited. We have a really good program going on right now, and like I said, the guys have been working really hard. So we have 2 really good race cars coming up for the 2 big races at the end of the year. So hopefully we can get a win at Nashville this weekend, and then go to the Derby and go try to get one there. Get
the big Tom Dawson Trophy. I mean, these are moments. And there's a guy that races in the Truck Series that races with you a bunch in the ASA Stars National Tour, Ty Majeski, who's also looking at wanting to gather the trophies in the case. He wants to get those big trophies. He won the Winchester 400. He's going to be going after his first guitar in Nashville. Do you guys ever spend time together, or is he on a different deal altogether, different team, different area? Does that ever equate to you guys can bounce things off each other, knowing how good you are and how good he is on super late model racing, given the chance?
Yeah, I see him at the racetrack, every Friday for the Truck Series, so it's super cool to watch him, have all the success he has in that, and also, on the late model weekends, it's definitely learned a few things from him just watching him, and he's so successful in everything he drives. So it's super cool to have just race against him in general in the late model world, because in my opinion he's the best in the business. So it's super cool to hopefully we can it's super cool to watch him, but hopefully we can go outrun him this weekend and get the big trophy.
Expectations are very high from me, for you. I'm sure yours are feeling the same. What has to go right this coming weekend at Nashville when it comes to practicing on Friday, practicing on Saturday, laying down a lap on Saturday afternoon that will likely be on some sort of track TV platform, and then racing on Sunday? But going into the weekend, you got to be right, because Sunday morning is pretty much meeting, autograph session, race.
Exactly. I feel like everything has to go perfect. It's such a long race as well. 300 laps is a long time, so lots of stuff can happen, but at the end of the day, you need a little bit of everything to happen. You need luck, and you need a fast race car. So hopefully, we can keep doing what we're doing, and I feel like we have a really good piece lined up, and hopefully, we can go qualify good, and hopefully everything just works perfectly.
I'm glad we got a chance to lock you in this week. It's such a busy, important week heading to your home track. I know there's a lot of things to get done. I'm glad we grabbed you before you got too busy to get there. And it's just been a pleasure to watch you mature and grow as a racer. Watching in the NASCAR tracks, I get to do some track PA and coverage there. But I also got to see a bunch here, of course, in the last couple of seasons in the Appalachian Sucker Punch ASA Stars National Tour. And just the idea, the methodology, the ability, I can tell that you're locked in, which has got to be really a comforting feeling knowing you're not even 20, 21 years of age yet. But that comfort knowing I have a good piece, I've got good people. Man, that's got to be such a pleasurable feeling to wake up, especially in your own bed this coming weekend.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like everything's been going really good here recently. And like I said, my guys have been working really hard. And I feel like I'm in a really good state right now for racing. And I feel like I said, I'm super excited to be here. And, it's big race season coming up. So hopefully we can just keep the momentum going and hopefully, go get some big ones closing out the year.
No doubt a contender this weekend, a contender at the Snowball Derby. Dawson Sutton, thanks so much for your time here on the Bullring tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
This weekend, Friday night's coverage and Saturday's All-American 100 Pull 8 model races will be airing live on Racing America. For all the Appalachian Sucker Punch ASA Stars National Tour activity, including Saturday qualifying and Sunday's huge 40th running of the All-American 400, you can catch every lap of that on Track TV. The Bullring is presented by Turn 1 High Performance Power Steering Products. With over 40 years of racing knowledge in NASCAR, for your Corvette, street car, or super late model, check out their superior steering products with the best components and the best industry upgrades, all with a proven track record and attention to detail. Visit turn1steering.com.
They said I wouldn't make it without a college degree.
They said only a man could be a roofing executive.
They said a former addict always relapses.
They said my amputation would keep me out of roofing.
They said never give an ex-convict a second chance.
They said I could never be a leader.
They said I couldn't support my family as a single mom.
At Rackley, we say they're wrong.
Want to change the world? Change it, one roof at a time.
5-star bodies, the most advanced bodies on the market, aerodynamically engineered, manufactured from the highest grade and lightest weight materials, tested tough for optimum performance. The highest quality and most durable products you'll find anywhere. Our products help racers around the world reach victory lane. Winning never looked so good. Faster, lighter, stronger, better. 5-star.
We're the leader in race fuels. We've been doing this since in the 60s. We use our distillation tower, which is unique. No other race fuel companies do that in the world. We also test every single batch that goes out the door on over 15 different parameters that ensure the tune-up will be identical.
That consistency in the marketplace that makes us a premium brand.
Make the same stuff every time. We're pretty darn close to perfect.
Rev up for the 60th Florida Governor's Cup 200 at New Smyrna Speedway. 2 nights of heart-pounding racing action. November 14th and 15th. ASA Southern Super Series. Super Late Models 200. Hoosier Pro Late Models. Modifieds of Mayhem. Ashley Holmes, Jack's Trucks, and Sportsman and Epic Battles. And unforgettable moments. Get your tickets now at New Smyrna Speedway, USA.com. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to the Bullring presented by Turn 1 High Performance Steering Products. Go to turn1steering.com for all your high performance and streetcar needs when it comes to great steering performance, backed by 40 years of experience in all forms of racing. Hey, I'm Jim Tretow, joined by Kulwicki Driver Development Program President of the Board of Directors, Ryan Zeck. Ryan, welcome to the Bullring. Excited to have you on the program. We've had all 5 Underbirds on so far this year. How you doing?
You've done a fantastic job. I really appreciate how much support we get from Racing America and especially from you, Jim.
Well, the neat thing about this is our histories, yours and mine, goes back to when you raced in ASA. Your first time I saw you was 2001, but prior to that, you were a kid on a mission. You went to UNC Charlotte as a mechanical engineering student, and you were the very first recipient in 1994 of the Alan Kulwicki Memorial Scholarship at UNC Charlotte, which is still being awarded. So what did it mean then, after his passing in 93, to become the first recipient and kind of continue that carry on that legacy now for decades?
I don't know if I realized how big of a deal it was. You know, a kid from Northern California, Northern California, really Southern Oregon, moving to Charlotte, North Carolina to start my mechanical engineering pursuit and becoming the first Kulwicki recipient or Kulwicki Memorial Scholarship recipient. Looking back, it was huge, right? And it gave me a leg up in many different ways.
Thelma Kulwicki helped start that with a lot of family involvement. Over the years, that has expanded to where Alan went to college, UW Milwaukee, where I went to school. I didn't go to engineering, I wasn't that smart, but there's a program there as well. But in all the midst of this now, there is an idea, an opportunity for Thelma to say, we need to do more about young racers coming to race. How can we get them more exposure to race? This is the 10th anniversary now, the startup of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program. Back in 2015, I'm sure it was talked about for a few years before that, but 2014 into 2015, it turned out to be a magical experience that continues to this day, and you're directly involved with the program in more than 10 different ways today. But as you've seen that growth and short track opportunities that you didn't have that are now being given to some of these young racers, Ty Fredrickson, Ty Majeski, champions in earning the Kulwicki Cup in the last 10 years. It has to be pretty special for you to see this progression.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in 94, the scholarship that UNC Charlotte had was funded actually by R.J. Reynolds.
Oh.
And so and that's still going on today, like you said. But Thelma, and I got to know her because I would go and hang out at Alan's old shop, right? When Jeff Bodine had bought the shop, I went and spent time there, and I would always hang out and get to know. That's how I got to know all the crew members: Danny Cameron, Bob Gilbranson, Paul Andrews, you name it, Tom Mount, all these guys that really mean something to the sport. They were a great team, and Alan handpicked them, right? Well, one day I was there at the shop, and I would hang out there all day, just trying to soak it all up. And one day Jerry and Thelma showed up, and they were like standing over in the corner. I distinctly remember this day, and whoever I was talking to, I said, I can't go and talk to them. And you should go and introduce yourself. I ended up introducing myself, and then they're like, well, we should go to dinner. And if anybody got to know them, they would take you to dinner, and we would always, every year we'd go to dinner because they would come down from Wisconsin during the wintertime and stay at Alan's house.
That's Jerry's dad and Jerry's stepmom, Thelma, and they were so much a part of what Alan did during his NASCAR years, and they also spent time at Alan's house after he passed away. And what I really feel is the give back. Thelma thought she could, and Jerry for sure said, we need to do more. And this Kulwicki Driver Development Program now in its 10th year has given young drivers from across the country an opportunity to do more than just race, and for racers some money, and be the only funded program that gives the racers money to be part of the program. There's a lot that goes into this, but talk about the satisfaction you have, even just in 2025, knowing what these young racers are accomplishing while they're racing for the Kulwicki Cup.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned earlier was about the opportunities that the kids have today through the Kulwicki Driver Development Program is unrivaled, right? There's nothing out there that even does something close. Back when I was racing, when I was 18 years old, I was trying to do everything. Now, naturally, Jim, you know this, there was no social media, so that's a little bit different today. But those are the types of things that had I had access to, a crew chief like Rodney Childers. Rodney Childers came on and talked to our drivers this year about driver crew chief communication. We brought on Scott Speed. Scott Speed talked, Josh Wise's company with Scott Speed. He came on and talked about nutrition and health and fitness and being prepared and what to do to get ready. Those are some of the opportunities that we provide to our drivers that are part of this program that you just don't have access to. and the visibility that people like you, Jim, that brings to the drivers, it helps every bit, because you can race all across the country and nobody would know your name unless you had some type of a leg up, and that's what we try to do. We want to give these drivers that are deserving, that are underbirds, that are not maybe fully funded. We want to give them that opportunity to be able to prove themselves, not only on the racetrack, but also in their community and also with their, just as people, right? Like, we want to develop good people.
In 2016, Alex Prunty raced in what would be his first super late model season because he was part of the Quickie program. He was a pro late model guy, limited late model, doing really well. He decided to take that jump. He said, I would not be anywhere in my super late model, and now he's a multi-time champion at his home track, Slinger Super Speedway. You've got other drivers that have been in the program not once but twice, like Riley Stenjum and Levon Vandergeest. I say that because I'm in Wisconsin. They're all Wisconsin guys, but the amazing amount of people, Jeremy Dawson, California, you've got kids from all over the country applying for this and racing for this. But I want to talk about this season specifically. The 5 drivers you have, Bryce Miller and Derek, and they're just unbelievably nice, driven, focused, but they're also being supported in so many ways by what you guys have going on. What's impressed you this year about this year's class of Fab 5 Underbirds?
It's so hard to put one thing, because they're all doing something so fantastic, right? And you've called them the Fantastic Five, Fabulous Five, I guess is the better term that you've used, because I'm not in radio or TV like you. But like Derek is pushing himself, and he's helping other race car drivers get to the racetrack. Bryce, he's doing the same thing. He's got a late model truck that he's helping a kid out with. Seth Christensen down there, in Georgia, doing fantastic things. And he's only, 17, 18 years old? Mm-hmm. Great kids and great race car drivers. Taylor helping out with young women and giving voice to young women. And then we've got Noah, who's, how can you beat Noah? He's going to Purdue to get an engineering degree just like Alan.
Yeah.
Not at Purdue, but you know what I mean.
Ryan, when it comes to the program itself, it's really cool to know that in 1992, Alan Kulwicki won the championship with a bunch of dedicated crew guys that are still part of this program. They care so much about it. Talk about how much it means to have the original Underbirds with you along this process, mentoring these young drivers.
I think that it's an important and integral part to help drivers and people grow as individuals, right? Like we got these people involved that saw Alan accomplish his story. The chances of somebody being able to go from, basically a pickup truck and an open trailer to winning the Cup championship, that's difficult. But these guys made it happen. So they can tell the story of the true Underbird and what it takes to actually make it happen. And that's what I really enjoy. And we got people like Peter Gellin, we got Joe Covington, Danny Cameron, Tom Mount, Shane Parsnow, Bob Gilbranson. These guys are all, just in my mind, they're legends.
Yeah, Cal Lawson, Paul Andrews, certainly part of that Quickie team as well. And Paul actually came out to Wisconsin to kind of see what Noah was up to and hung out with Bryce. And Danny Cameron's taken a certain affinity to working with Bryce as a direct mentor this year. And it's really kind of cool to see that play out. And you got to go to Oxford, the Oxford 250, seeing a bunch of the program graduates and Max Cookson and the gang, that he won a championship and inspired Derek and Taylor, who are in this year's class, to apply and be part of this. It's really cool how that all plays out. I understand to me that come early November here, the program has collected all the points you're going to collect. Is that right? Is that what's going on now? With the all summer of doing off-track and on-track point gathering is now completed. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. So our season ended October 31st. About 45 minutes ago, we finished our presentations, all the presentations for the drivers. So they have to create presentations and present to the voters. The voters will submit their votes sometime this week, and we'll be getting to know who our champion is, but not before the banquet. Nobody will know.
So Alan Kulwicki's birthday is December 14th, and right around that time is when you guys have held an annual banquet, bringing all the competitors together, bringing in some really cool people. And I know there's more than just the banquet and the this year's recipients coming. You guys usually treat it very special in Charlotte, bring them all together for a very special night in December. Anything you can share with us about how that's going to go?
We just finalized. We have our featured guest. It's going to be Ryan Newman. And he is going to do a tire side chat with Dave Moody. So I'm pretty excited to hear what they have to say. Obviously, Ryan Newman being an engineer and in that era, he probably knew who Alan was. I mean, I know I did. So looking forward to hearing the stories and his inspiration for these young drivers. And
that's
for
great. That's
all
great.
the viewers out there.
That is wonderful. And I know on your website, KulwickiDDP.com, you've had a series of interviews you've posted there and on YouTube as well, where you can look at the progression. You can see these young people. You can get to meet them and know them, but you've got some pretty neat people helping their stories being told with Alan Bestwick and Wendy Venturini and Lance Allen from here in Milwaukee talking. I mean, there's a lot of cool people that care about this, but you've got some all-stars, including Dave Moody, involved with getting these young drivers some exposure and getting them more media training, if you will, along the way. It's kind of cool how that's part of it too.
Absolutely. We as a driver, you're faced with many different things to be good at, not just being good on the racetrack. You have to be able to be good in front of the camera. You have to be good in front of sponsors, and being able to present to people is important. Being able to be a salesman, you have to sell yourself. Those are all important parts, and we want to try to really give back to these drivers. And maybe at one point we might have to open this up to more people.
I know the emphasis has been drivers making their way through age like 16 to 25, somewhere in there. Bryce Miller's 25, one of the older ones, but you also have young drivers like Ty Fredrickson, who turned 16 as he won the championship. So, I mean, there's ways to look at this and say, who can best represent the program? And there's a process to this, right? So when this year's class is awarded, they've completed the class, if you will, but they're going to continue learning and educating others on what's going on. When it comes to applying, hundreds of people do it per year, Ryan. What's the process for those who are watching here to get their favorite young racer involved in the program for 2026?
Great point. I'm really glad you brought that up. We will be opening up the application probably about January 1st. So paying attention to our website, paying attention to our social medias, paying attention to Racing America, our official media partner. What we would love to do is have as many people apply as possible. We do give preference to an age range, but we want to make sure that we're supporting people that have the Alan Kulwicki spirit, the people that are underfunded, that are underbirds, right? That are working every night on the race car from 5 o'clock until 2 a.m. and then they get up the next day and do it all over again. That's the spirit we're looking for. I think that overall, January 1 is going to be the opening. Typically, it's open for about 30 days-ish, somewhere in there. And then we close it. And, man, I tell you, then the hard work deciding who gets narrowed down to the semifinalists. And then we interview each of the semifinalists to try to determine who's going to be our 5 underbirds.
And it's a process that anyone can be involved in. You don't have to live in a certain area. You don't have to race a certain class of car. It's about being involved in the program and getting it. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been raised in communities from these racers over this past decade, where they become to food drives or taking a specific cause like ALS, like Ty Fredrickson did 1 year ago. His family directly affected, a great family member. They did a lot of fundraising for the Minnesota chapter. I'm familiar with this stuff because I care, but it's neat to see the care continues. Luke Fenhouse is still doing food drives in Wausau. I mean, it's crazy to know that is a lasting impact that's still carrying on that legacy that you've got to be proud of. And I keep saying things like you have to say yes to, because I'm so excited that you're directly involved in this program, Ryan, and the people care so much about what's going on.
I think that I'm excited that we have completed 10 years and we've given out over $1 million to support young race car drivers. We've supported 50 plus drivers at least. What we want to do, at our banquet in December, we're not going to just look at the past 10 years. We want to look at the next 10 years. And I hope to be able to announce some great and fantastic things that we've been working on at the banquet. So I really hope you guys can tune in.
KulwickiDDP.com is the website. What are the social channels, Ryan?
Facebook. I don't know. Facebook.
You got people Twitter. For that. The great thing is you have a committee of people, right? It's awesome. They all want to be part of this.
Obviously it's on social media, right? We got YouTube. We got everything you can find on our website. But I do want to say, I want to thank the people that are involved with the Kulwicki Driver Development Program, like yourself, Jim. But we have about 25 to 30 people involved in the program today. And that it's not just me. I know I'm talking to you tonight, but we have a ton of people, from voters to educators to media relations, the talent, like you mentioned, Mark Garrow. Doug Rice is going to be our MC for the banquet. I don't know if you knew that. And then we have our mentors. We have just operational people like Casey and Baker and Allie and Lily. It's just a great program to be a part of, and I look forward to this being around for many years.
I commend your dedication. I know sponsorships are always welcome. It's something that certainly can be part of the program. If you want to get directly involved, there's a sponsor page on KulwickiDDP.com. It's a great website listing off some really famous and some drivers you may not have heard of, but you can read about them because they've gotten the exposure through the program. They've gotten the ability to approach sponsors and say, I want to race. I want to be more than just the tire sponsor. I want to buy your race car. I want to race for someone else and make the progression that Kulwicki decided to do on his own. But man, it took so much effort and so much work for him. And that continues to be certainly an inspiration for me personally, but also seeing this program thrive and having the ability to honor a champion in December and earn the Kulwicki Cup is a special occasion that will be carried. And you can see that on Racing America. But more importantly, that lasting legacy is going to continue into next year's class. And we encourage you to register, to apply January 1 on the website, KulwickiDDP.com. Ryan, any other thoughts you want to share about the pride there, but the work that goes into it, and certainly the recognition that these young drivers get and the care that goes into the entire program?
I think the one thing that I really want to make sure that people understand is that it doesn't necessarily need to be for supporting the program. People like yourself, Jim, people like people over like Wendy Venturini helping us with media training, Doug Rice, Mark Garrow, those guys are volunteering their time. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a donation of monetary, right? It could be product. So we are going to be at the PRI show. Would love to have conversations about maybe getting some product sponsors and helping our drivers through product, as well as what we have been able to accomplish by giving away $1 million over the last 10 years.
That sounds awesome. Ryan, it's really a pleasure to have you on the program. I know there's a lot of things going on. You mentioned that the hard work now continues. It's a year-round effort here to keep the legacy of Alan Kulwicki, the 1992 NASCAR Cup champion, alive, and it's such a pleasure to be part of that program in my little way. It's such a pleasure to have you on tonight as well, Ryan.
Thank you very much, Jim. I really appreciate all you do and all everybody does to support and really create a sustainable environment for young people to stay out of trouble and actually be race car drivers, right? Like, that's awesome.
It is amazing. It is certainly something to think about. And if you want to know more about Alan Kulwicki, there's certainly a great part of the website's dedicated to his legacy. If you don't know much about his stats, you can read that anywhere. But more importantly, the driving determination is unequaled and may never be matched when it comes to an owner-driver champion with 17 employees winning the NASCAR Cup Championship just 7 years after driving down with a different truck because the first one burned up on the night before he was leaving Milwaukee to go to live and work and live as a champion in NASCAR. Ryan Zeck, thanks for your time tonight. Kulwicki Driver Development Program President Ryan Zeck. The website one more time, KulwickiDDP.com. You're watching the Bullring, presented by Turn 1 High Performance Steering. Up next, NASCAR champion, Winchester 400 and Snowball Derby winner, Ted Musgrave.
It's the show of the year. Friday through Sunday, November 7th to 9th at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. 6 fast-paced features of racing on the quarter mile Friday night. Pole qualifying and 3 big feature events Saturday night. And the 40th All-American by Appalachian Sucker Punch on Sunday afternoon. Racing starts at 6:30 Friday, 5 o'clock Saturday, 1 o'clock Sunday. Tickets available at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.racing or at the gate on race day. It's the 40th All-American 400 weekend. Friday through Sunday, November 7th to 9th. Get your tickets now.
Legacies aren't built overnight. They're built 1 second at a time. Never taking a lap off, and always pushing the limits. K1, helping you build your legacy from the beginning.
This corner isn't just a car lot, it's where stories begin. First jobs, first road trips, creating memories and starting new chapters. For the dreamers, the doers, the ones building something of their own, we've got you too. Because at Car Corner, it's not just about getting a car. It's about where that car will take you.
Looking to start a new career path in motorsports or searching for something new in your racing journey? Racer Jobs is your destination for providing the most current job openings from top racing teams, manufacturers, sanctioning bodies, and suppliers. Whether you're a budding race engineer, a seasoned mechanic, or a marketing ace, we consistently refresh our listings with new roles that could meet your ambitions. Looking for a great candidate as an employer? Then tap into our Racer Jobs audience and database to find that perfect candidate. Go to racerjobs.com today.
Why not give your grill the deep clean it deserves? The CitruSafe Grill Cleaner Complete Bucket Kit has everything you need to get your grill spotless, inside and out. Powered by natural citrus, CitruSafe cuts through the toughest grease and grime safely and easily. No harsh chemicals, no hassle. Recipes taste better on a clean grill.
Welcome back to the Bullring, presented by Turn 1 High Performance Steering. I'm Jim Tretow, joined by one of my racing heroes. I got to see him race all over Wisconsin when he's racing a lot of big races. He actually won the Winchester 400 in 1988. He backed it up by winning the Snowball Derby in 1988. He's also a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion, Ted Musgrave. Ted, welcome to the Bullring. How you doing tonight?
Oh, good. I like the name of that, Bullring.
Yeah, you know what? The cool thing is, it's where you cut your teeth. Your dad cut his teeth. You guys are now in the Illinois Stock Car Hauling of Fame together. It's kind of cool that this has now come full circle for you almost as you turn 70 the end of this year to have some of this recognition, but also it's kind of cool for me to catch up with you. What you been up to these days?
Well, right now, hey, like I say, Bullring, that's where I did start out, was Waukegan Speedway, that quarter mile, and they did call it the Bullring, and there was a lot of fist fight going on at that place. But what I'm doing right now is I'm actually helping my son at the boat shop. It's called Musgrave Marine. We work on all the boats and jet skis and houseboats and all the stuff around Lake Norman. There's just thousands of boats, so there's a lot of work to do.
And when it comes to helping, your son's raced, your son Teddy's staying way involved. Your son Justin, I'm guessing, is more doing boat stuff than racing stuff. And I know you've been ate up with it your entire life. Your son probably said, "Hey, Dad, if you can give me a hand, wouldn't mind you helping." But now you're how often do you have to shop there at the Marine store?
Oh, actually, I'm there Monday through Friday, and I usually get there about 8:30 in the morning and leave somewhere 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. So wow. It's that busy. It's just my son Justin and I. So, the two of us got a lot of work, but I don't mind doing that. Keeps me active, keeps me going.
Teddy, I saw you, and I was so happy to have you involved as the Grand Marshal of the Winchester 400 this year. Dan Redmond and the folks brought you back to be the Grand Marshal, and you spent some time with us. If you have a chance, as you're watching this, and you can subscribe to Track TV, subscribe and watch the Winchester 400 from 2025. You'll hear Ted Musgrave as a commentator on the entire broadcast. Man, what a treat that was. What was your experience like not being so close to the super late models as you once were, Ted?
Well, like I say, I haven't been back to Winchester Speedway maybe like 34 years. And when they asked me about coming back there and being a Grand Marshal, I thought, well, it's a special place. It's a special little racetrack, and I loved it. And I said, you know what? I've never done this before, but for Winchester Speedway, I'm going to do this. And it was a great deal. Like I say, sitting up in the booth with you and watching the race, too, was a little exciting. I liked it. Listen to you guys.
You were great. You had a lot of input on what you saw, what you felt, and thank goodness the track hasn't changed much. What has changed a little bit is your hours. I recall when you worked for Jerry Gunman in the All-Star Racing Shop, G&G Trucking Shop, 8:30 to 6 was an average short day. You guys working 8:30 to midnight or whatever it took to go racing 60, 70 times a year. What was that routine like back in the day in the late 80s, early 90s with you?
Well, you're exactly right. I remember one time we were building a brand new car for the start of the season, and Jimmy Fenning and it's actually Jeffrey Fenning and I were building that car, and we had a little loft upstairs, and it was a little mattress there, a little air mattress. That's where we were taking turns getting sleep. So we'd work 24 hours a day. One guy would be a little tired, go upstairs, work a little bit, come back down, have some coffee. Oh, yeah, I tell you what, there's been some long hours, and I'm not the only one in the racing deal that did this. There's a lot of racers out there to put that many hours in.
And when it comes to getting the opportunities, you moved from Illinois to central Wisconsin, got to race, but did a lot of racing pretty much as a one- or two-man band, right? You did a lot of great racing and some really great short track racers in the 70s and 80s. And how do those opportunities come about where you're actually now racing for other people like Terry Baker and Jerry Gunderman back in the day?
Well, it started out basically, like you say, working on my own car and getting motors from Carl Wagner, helping him build the engines, ran around the CWRA circuit, 5 nights a week with your own vehicle. I mean, you worked on it, you built it, you raced it, you pit crewed it, you did everything you could. And getting some good success out of that, and traveling around, seeing how, I stack up, okay, I might be really good at one racetrack or 2 racetracks in Wisconsin. How do you fare in Minnesota and Michigan and places like that? So I traveled a little bit too, and just to kind of see, was I good enough to stand up against some of these Ed Howes and, Jerry McCarra-Bear and all them guys, So I think my success back in those days got me my ASA ride. And then, like you say, I got the right people behind me, the right crew and, owners. It all took all them things to get it right to continue on to NASCAR.
Folks mentioned the name Howie Leto. I got to know Howie. He obviously worked directly with you in a great capacity when it comes to just knowledge and experience, making the right calls. He is forever held in high regard. What did you learn with him and from him, and what did you teach him? Because you did a lot of things yourself as well in terms of fabrication and long-distance races.
Yeah, but that's, like I say, my own stuff was short track racing. Your 50-lap race was probably the biggest. Well, no, don't get me wrong. There was 100-lap races at the end of the year. But there was never any pit stops or nothing like that. So when I came to ASA and having Howie Leto as my crew chief, he knew all this stuff. He's been in it already with Pat Schauer and all them other guys. So, I would have been blind to it. I wouldn't know what to do. So he kind of held the banner there for me and just kind of showed me how to get through it. I said, I'll do the driving. You figure out everything else. And he does. He knew what to do.
And when it comes to Howie and the opportunities you had, he worked at Baker Motorsports and you guys ran really well. 4 full years in the ASA National Tour. You ran then with Jerry Gunderman. And with Jerry Gunderman, he also had a knack for finding rides for Bobby Allison or getting a car together for Mark Martin's teammate at the time, Alan Kulwicki, when he came back from NASCAR to race. And you were not quite to NASCAR. Your first NASCAR start came with that team in 1989 in the Xfinity Series. But come 1990, 91, 92, you were now working full-time in NASCAR, racing full-time. But what was it like preparing cars? We call it all-star racing for a reason. You were the star, but sometimes Mark Martin would roll in, or Bobby Allison, or who knows, Jimmy Spencer, Darrell Waltrip. These guys would get cars prepared by you in Jerry Gunderman's shop to go racing at ASA. What was that like? Well,
that's what I kind of seen down the line. Terry Baker's stuff was great. I had a great time, won a lot of races, but I could see that's as far as I was going to get. So with Jerry Gunderman, I knew he had all the connections with these people. So I thought, well, there may be an opportunity where I can get my foot in the door further down the road, which did happen. So building them cars, ASA cars for Jerry Gunderman, and yes, building some for Mark Martin when he came up, and that was the key right there. Sure, we had some other drivers, but I built a car and prepared it for Mark Martin to run up there in Milwaukee. And I think what it was is he seen that I was working 24 hours a day, basically getting my car done, trying to get his done, my work ethic and, my desire to, to be better. So when opportunity arose, later on in life, I got a ride with Mark Martin being a crew or my teammate at Roush. So it was a payback. So I loved it. Everything I did was going the right direction.
Through the 1990s, you got to race in NASCAR and the Cup Series full-time through the 90s. And then you get an opportunity to figure some stuff out. And you ended up racing some Xfinity races and then went full-time NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series racing with Jim Smith from the West Coast, the Ultra Boys, and the Mopar deal. You really excelled there, man. That was fun to watch how much you guys took it to them on Bullrings all over the country and big tracks.
Yeah, I had a good time in the Cup Series. I got a lot of pole positions and track records, odd things, some second place finishes to Rusty Wallace and a few other ones. Actually, Dale Jarrett almost won the Darlington race. We had some good races going, but the time that was going through, the family and this and that, with Debbie getting leukemia and odds and ends stuff, I needed to stay home a little bit more. So when the opportunity arose that I could run the Truck Series, which is only 24 races a year, than the 36 in Cup, plus, you're racing on Friday night, Saturday night maybe, and then you're home on Sunday. It just kind of fell into my spot. That's my wheelhouse. I liked it. And that type of racing was back to, like you say, like short track racing. There was no big 500-lap races, so it was a sprint. You had to run hard every lap in the Truck Series. Enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun and won a championship.
Yeah, I do want to take the parallel one more step and maybe rewinding a bit in the timeline. But how much did racing and winning the Redbud 400 and winning the Winchester 400 help you when it came to the opportunities that came in the early 90s with a couple of guys that say, let's go short track racing to NASCAR. And by the 1991, you're racing full time in the Cup Series.
Yeah, I think what it was, like you say, the traveling part of it too, not just the Winchester 400, but winning the Snowball Derby in Florida, going out to Phoenix, Arizona, winning the Copper Classic there. Plus, we went other places too, to Birmingham and Huntsville, Alabama, and a lot of places like that with Howie. And we won a lot of races doing this. And it caught the eye of a car owner by Ray DeWitt. Now, Ray DeWitt was starting to get into NASCAR. He wanted a car just to start out with. And I believe Rich Fogler was going to be the driver. And Rich was running a sprint car at a time at Salem, like the night before the race at Pocono, and was fatally injured. So the next week they said, well, we need a driver for this car. And they knew I was really trying hard to get into NASCAR. Actually, like I say, ran a couple of Xfinity races on my own car with Carl Wagner. Ran some ARCA races, Daytona, Talladega. So they knew I was trying really hard to do it. And they said, well, actually, Eddie Kluk is the one that put the bug in his ear. And I said, hey, I got a guy that might want to fill in and try this. So I got the call to do it. And like I say, just the right time. They were knowing the right people and the right people doing the right thing for me.
I'm glad you mentioned Fast Eddie because there is a forever cherished memory of mine. It was the Xfinity Series race, then the Busch Series at IRP. We're in Milwaukee. You and I and Ed Kluk would go down in his station wagon to IRP. We get there. We're just going to spend the day, maybe hang out in the pits and come back that night. And Eddie said, Mark needs a tire changer. Teddy, you go do that. Jim, Kyle Petty needs a catch can guy. You'll go do that. I'm like, oh, okay. It was kind of fun, kind of crazy.
You remember that, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I've still got the pictures. I actually got the Carolina Ford dealer's shirt on and everything. Yeah, it was a right side tire change for Mark Martin. Because Eddie Kluk went over and told Bill Davis, he says, hey, I got a tire changer for you. If you need one, Teddy will go over there and change tires for you. I never changed tires in my life.
And that garden watering picture I had for a catch can.
Wait a minute, the funny thing was Mark came in for a pit stop, and he was going to change from Hoosiers to Goodyears, which he had to make a 4-tire change. Ooh, I changed the right side tires before their own tire change on the left side was done. I changed the 2 right side tires, came back around, and grabbed the jack to let the jack down when the left side tire guys were done. And Mark didn't know I was doing this. I seen the look on his face looking at me like, what the heck are you doing on my team with jacking the car? Because he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Fun. Oh, man. Great story. He didn't win the race, nor did Kyle Petty, but I got a crusty old Pete Antifreeze hat out of the deal.
Like there you go. I got pictures. Yeah, I got some pictures for you.
Oh, man. How many times did you end up stuck at doing things like that or working in the trucking company when we went going racing? I mean, there was a lot of things you made work to get down to racing full time for a long time.
Well, sure. I mean, like I said, for Jerry Gunnerman, sure, he had that big trucking company and his specialty hauling and stuff like that. I drove the truck a few times, hauled some big equipment. I went down to, actually, I brought all the Alan Kulwicki's engine shop stuff to North Carolina from Wisconsin. I was the one that
drove
did
the truck down?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, loaded up all the stuff and brought it down to the shop. That was the old Stavola Brothers shop. So, that's amazing. I drove semi too.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that all helped in given circumstances, getting the opportunity if it comes the right way or someone needs you need to help yourself in a lot of ways because you're so busy doing everything with not a lot of people. I imagine that still had to help you a lot during your career, knowing you can work with people and those people that may want to help you may not have the skills, but you know how important it is to have more than just yourself doing it, right?
Oh, yeah. And like I say, helping other people, too. Sooner or later down the road, they'll remember it. Alan did, and so did Mark Martin. And I'm helping you, you help me, and it all worked out. So, it's good buddies, good friends.
Teddy Musgrave, it's been 34 years since you were at Winchester Speedway. You were back there as the Grand Marshal this past about a month or so ago. When you saw the equipment, I saw you studying turn 1 during practice. I saw you kind of just watching out the window next to me in the broadcast booth for Track TV and then on Racer Network. What has changed? What have you noticed? What did you pick up on? What did you like and didn't like, I guess, with how those cars were flying around the big high banks at Winchester?
Well, what I did like is everything. The only thing I didn't like was the cost of the cars. That was about it. But as far as the racing was okay, the racetrack was fine. It was just the way I thought it would be. Other than, it was concrete all the way around walls instead of some guardrail on the back. But, the racing was fine. The racing groove changed just a little bit, not much. But just the atmosphere at that race was awesome. the stands were packed. The people were excited. The cars were, it was a good race. There was a lot of cautions. A lot of people kept their heads on their shoulders and ran hard. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I maybe 35 years from now, I'll go back again.
I hope you're back sooner than that. I'm just thinking back to some recent memories for me. Just knowing that thank goodness that Dale Jr. got you to sit down with him as well. It's really cool that you're finding time to do this and amongst everything else you're doing and having time to reflect a bit with a great racing career behind you. But I want to talk about some signature wins as we're now in Crown Jewel season on the short tracks around the upper Midwest. And obviously now we're moving southward for the Winchester 400, for the All-American 400 this weekend, and of course the Snowball Derby. You've raced in all three of those. What's that feeling like, knowing your stuff has to be really good after a really long season already for you, racing 40 or 50 times before you get to some Crown Jewel events back in the day?
Well, like I said, back in the day, those were the big things you worked for. You'd win some races during the summer, but when it gets to the end of the season, you get these crown jewels. Like I said, those are the ones that really stick out in your mind, the ones that put you on another pedestal. Now, I did not win the Winchester. I won the Winchester 400, but I did not win at Nashville, the All-American 400. Gary St. Amant stole that one from me, but it was my own fault. I let him back on the lead lap, and he come back to win the race. But like I said, those are the ones that I think all the guys in short track racing always want to win. It's kind of like a little feather in their cap, and it's something they can't take away from the person. It's like, sure, I won that race. Maybe it was years ago, but I can still walk through the garage area and say, yeah, I won this race. This is pretty cool.
That was 1990 when St. Amant beat you because he got those fresher tires late. But in 1993, you finished third in the All-American 400 at Nashville, only to Mike Garvey and Freddie Query. Those guys are racing full-time short track racing. You were in your third year of Cup racing and found an off weekend. That had to be kind of fun to know that you still had it a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was good, to get a little time off, go back and run a car again, and just make sure it's still the same way as what it was. And I could probably do it again, just got to find a seat. But no, don't get me wrong.
So nobody said the R word yet. Okay, I got it. I'm with you, Teddy.
I never said retired. I never said I retired, Yeah. But, like I said, yeah, it was pretty cool to kind of do that stuff. But, later on in the NASCAR thing, it just got you got so involved with your sponsors and the team and everything else. It was hard to get away. And, I didn't have jets or stuff like that. People right now, they get in their car or excuse me, their jet, and they fly over here, fly over there. Never had any of that. So, my travel was kind of limited, but I did have a lot of fun going back to the short tracks.
Well, it's great to catch up with you at Winchester. Great to make you a broadcaster for a day, and it's really been fun catching up with you here on the Bullring. We encourage people to stop by. If you're in the Lake Norman area, you can see Teddy working every day, all day with his kid at Musgrave Marine, right there near Tretow.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm there. Like I said, as he's on the road, I'm at the shop all the time. And I've had some, Johnny Ziegler even stop by, and, Hornaday, and there's a lot of them that come by and stop by and see us. So, hey, don't get me wrong. You're welcome.
Hey, thanks for stopping by the Bullring, Ted. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Pleasure with you, Jim. Thank you.
It's time on the Bullring to go around the horn, highlighting champions and race winners from across North America. Stay tuned to the Bullring, a short track racing podcast presented by Turn 1 High Performance Steering Products. We'll be right back.
Better than a bootlegger. Way better than a bootlegger. Pretty good. Very blueberry. Highly recommend this to anybody out there. It's pretty good. 10 out of 10 right there.
I think it's delicious. I had the peach, I had the grape at Five Flags. Trying the pina colada right now. Feels like I'm on the beach somewhere.
Calling all race fans. We have launched a new travel site where the race fans can enjoy free savings and upgrades on all of their travel needs. RacerTravel.com is free to join and unlocks unpublished bookings and rates for our racing community. Up to 50% off on more than 1 million rooms across the U.S. and Canada with unpublished discounts on hotel bookings. Unlock a hidden selection of hotels and rates that cater to your travel preferences. Whether you're heading out to the track as a competitor, fan, or anything in between, use Racer Travel for all your race, business, and vacation travel needs.
Located in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, Atlantic Tilt Load is your trusted partner in specialized transportation across Canada and into the United States. With a fleet of tilt decks, boom trucks, lowboys, and tractor trailers, we handle oversized and long-haul freight with precision and care. Need it there fast? Our 24-hour hotshot service is standing by. Wide load? We've got certified vehicle escort services ready to roll. Atlantic Tilt Load, family roots, North American reach.
It's the show of the year. Friday through Sunday, November 7th and 9th at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. 6 fast-paced features of racing on the quarter mile Friday night. Pole qualifying and 3 big feature events Saturday night. And the 40th All-American by Appalachian Sucker Punch on Sunday afternoon. Racing starts at 6:30 Friday, 5 o'clock Saturday, 1 o'clock Sunday. Tickets available at NashvilleFairgroundsSpeedway.racing or at the gate on race day. It's the 40th All-American 400 weekend. Friday through Sunday, November 7th and 9th. Get your tickets now.
Welcome back to the Bullring. I'm Jim Tretow. Check out these upcoming awesome races on Racing America and Track TV. The 60th running of the Florida Governor's Cup at New Smyrna Speedway will be the season ender on November 15th for the ASA Southern Super Series. Only 4 points separate Bubba Powered from Cole Butcher. It's going to be exciting to watch what's going on this weekend. I cannot wait to get to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. It all kicks in on Friday with some great local racing action. Saturday, crowning champions on the quarter mile and the 5/8 in the Pro Late models, as well as the Jeg CRL stars in the All-American 100. And on Sunday, man, the big show. The 40th running of the All-American 400 comes your way on Sunday afternoon on Track TV. You can catch it all on Racing America and Track TV this weekend. I want to say a special thanks to our guests on this program. Ted Musgrave, what a fun time that was talking to him. Dawson Sutton, man, he's on the charge. He's looking for that guitar this weekend. What a great young driver. We also want to thank Ryan Zeck for taking some time tonight to join us here on the program from the Kulwicki Driver Development Program. I'm Jim Tretow. Hope to see you in a Bullring real soon. The Bullring with executive producer and host Jim Tretow. Kurt Schrader, producer. Vincent Villarreal, video editor. Special thanks, Bob Sargent and Marty Mello at Track Enterprises. Colin Smith with Racing America, and Tony Stevens. The Bullring is an exclusive presentation produced by Track Enterprises in conjunction with Racing America.